episode with Atle, we're going to cover a very important topic. How can you transfer knowledge that you already have that might be very niche into a broader audience? I've seen this happen many times. Speakers get stuck in a small niche because they think that's where they belong. In this episode, we're going to find out how you can expand your niche. A very good example of this is a friend of mine in Sweden. He used to be a teacher in high school, and he went to become a speaker about how to learn better and how to make learning stick. And suddenly he could speak at BMW, all the big banks, all the big fintech companies. So sometimes as a speaker, you just have to know how to niche out and find a broader audience in order to get more gigs. And we're going to learn that from the Norwegian Formula One champion, Atle. He's also a TV celebrity in Norway, and he managed to go from the racetracks to speak all over corporate Norway. Let's dive in. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so welcome. Today I got someone really special with me. Atle is a legend in the speaking space in Norway, but before all that, he made his mark in Formula One. He's also a TV celebrity in Norway as the main commentator of Formula One, and he's built a niche helping companies level up their leadership through the lens of high-performance racing. Atle, so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Nice, yeah. Well, we're going to keep this casual, like two friends catching up over coffee and sharing some knowledge we learned past few years as speakers. But let's start with where most people get curious, like Formula One. How did you end up getting into that world? It's not like starting to play paddle.
No, it's not. That's a long story, but I will try to make it short. It actually started with my father. He was really into Formula One. We were watching Formula One on TV. And when I was 8 years old, he took me to the French Grand Prix to watch my first Formula One race. And after that, I was really hooked. I was watching everything. When there was a Formula One race in Australia, for example, was up all night watching everything, watching the practice, watching the qualifying. And when I was 17, I started commentating. I just called the TV channel Canal Plus at that time, who had the rights. And I said, okay, I'm just 17, but nobody in Norway knows more about Formula One than me. And I don't know why, but somehow they said, oh, let's try. So then I started commentating, and I have been doing that since.
Nice. And how was competing? Like, fun?
Of course. Because besides all the commentating, I have also been competing as a racing driver. I started with karting when I was 12. And I'm still racing some today. I don't have time to race very much these days, but I still do some races. But I have been racing now for more than 30 years. Yeah, that's a fun combination to both be racing myself and also to be commentating Formula One races.
Yeah, that's nice. And I see a lot of speakers, they struggle because often their starting point is that they have some knowledge in the industry and it might be too niche. For example, for me, it was entrepreneurship, and it was too few entrepreneurship conferences in Norway to make a living out of it. And in your case too, if I remember correct, like you started speaking at car events and like car related conferences, but you found out that was too small. So at what point did you be like, you know what? The lessons I learned here, they actually apply to business and leadership too. At what point did you have that aha moment that, oh, I can open up this huge market and transition?
Yeah, I think I understood that quite early, because what I'm talking about in my speeches is really just leadership for, I would say, every company. Like every company needs to learn how to build a team, how to work in an environment which changes quickly. This is normal now for every company. So I understood that quite early, that what I'm talking about and what you can learn from the Formula One teams is for, I would say, like 99% of every company needs to learn that. So I understood that quite early. And together with Talerlisten, which is my agency, we have tried to like promote that to like every company. This is not about Formula One. I'm not here to talk about Formula One. I'm here to talk about leadership. But my examples are Formula One, and that makes these speeches, I think, more interesting, because I have good examples. I have good pictures, I have good videos. It makes it more interesting, more fun, but the main topics are still just leadership for everyone.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I used to use as example sometimes when I've been speaking to up and coming speakers, because it's so fascinating how you can go from Formula One and you think it's just car related businesses, but you speak at banks and whatever business that's doing exactly what you're saying, building better teams and performing. But how did you get into public speaking originally? Was it something planned, or did it happen like organically?
It happened mostly when I gave out my last book. I have written 2 books about Formula One, and the last one was in 2022. I think it was there it started really, because with the launch of the book, I was traveling around talking about the book, and then starting to talk more about Formula One as a whole, and not just what Formula One is. And of course, I have been talking about the big rise in interest in Formula One, because the interest of Formula One has exploded worldwide, also in Norway. And I have been talking about what did Formula One do to become so big as it is today. And then I also started to talk about what are these teams doing. They have 2,000 employees, and they have to change their car and change their business from weekend to weekend to still be competitive. And then I understood that this is something that companies really can learn a lot from. So I think it started with a book, and then it's been going on since.
Yeah. How is your book business model? I know some speakers, they say, hey, buy 300 books and you get speech included, and I will come to your company, or they bring their books and they sell them afterwards. Have you tried, which one is your business model when it comes to the book and conferences?
Yeah, I have never asked anyone to buy my book like this, but the first years when the book was new, a lot of companies that I visited, they wanted me to bring some books, so I could sell some books after I have been on stage, and also sign the books. So I did that, but now the book is 3 years old, so it's not that interesting anymore. But I did that a lot the first years.
I saw like Niels, he said he wrote a book about communication, and they did that trick that a communication company bought 100 books and then they got the speech for free.
Yeah. That's a business model for sure.
What was the actual writing process? Did it happen in short bursts? Did you set a goal of like writing a page a day? Did you use a publisher? What can you?
Yeah,
Good.
I had a publisher, and I also was lucky because I had a ghostwriter.
Hmm.
Because I didn't have the time to write the book myself. I have so much to do. I'm commentating almost every weekend, and I'm also having other businesses that I'm working with. So I was talking to my ghostwriter, and gave him all my thoughts and everything I wanted to be in this book, and he wrote it, and I read it, and we did some changes, and voila. We used I think we used like 4 or 5 months. So it's quite a short process actually.
How did you find this ghostwriter, and how many meetings did you usually have during those 5 months?
He was found from the publisher. Kagge was the publisher. They found him for me, and we had meetings all the time. We had met like probably once a week, and we were talking to each other several times a week.
And looking back now, what was the hardest part about writing the book, and what came like surprisingly easy?
For me, it was easy to like. I knew what I wanted in this book. I knew the story. I knew what I wanted to tell people about Formula One, and also about my life, and what we can learn from Formula One. That was quite easy. But the thing with books that I think people should know of, at least in a small country as Norway, is that it's not good business, to be honest. It's not something you earn a lot of money on. Then you need to sell many books, and most people don't do that. So most people who write a book in Norwegian, they have to see it as something they want to do, something that is besides what they make a living out of, because it's really difficult to sell so many books that you can earn enough money on it.
Would you say, if you talk about impact, would you say that the book helped you land more gigs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely helps in the
Yeah.
speaker.
So that's a way to see it, that a book can help you in other ways to promote you for sure. So if you have a business like me, which do public speaking, then a book can really help.
Yeah, then you can just print 200 and send it to potential people who can book you.
Yeah, that, for example.
And then like about your first gigs, do you remember how you landed like your first 3 to 5 gigs? And remember, what did you charge and how did you get them, like the first ones?
The first ones, they came to me. It was both because of the book, as I told you earlier, but also because in around 2022, 2021, that was when the explosion in interest of Formula One happened. And that was because both the pandemic, Formula One was one of the first big sports that started during the pandemic. A lot of new people started to watch Formula One, but mainly it was because of the Netflix series Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Drive to Survive is so popular, and suddenly the interest exploded. In Norway, we have today, or actually also in 2022, we had 10 times as many viewers on Formula One as we had like in 2019. It was crazy. And because of that, people started to call me when they had conferences and asked if I could come and talk about Formula One and try to explain what has happened. How can a sport become so much popular in a short time frame?
But like, we both represented by the same agent and we're getting gigs through that. But are you doing some outreach now yourself? Like, are you doing cold emails or doing cold calls, or it's like you just rely 100% on inbound or referrals? What's your business strategy this upcoming months, or say 2025?
Yeah, I do some sales myself. Not really cold emails. I don't. That's really difficult. But I have done that. It's of course. What's the definition of a cold email? If I send an email to a company that has a big link to Formula One, for example, let's say it's a big international company who are a partner of one of the Formula One teams, I can send an email to the Norwegian CEO of that company and present me. That's sort of a cold email, but not really a cold email because they probably know who I am and they know the link to Formula One. I have done things like that. And I think that's an advice to people who want to succeed in this business, is that they cannot just rely on their agent, that they also need to do some work themselves.
Yeah, and usually a cold email can actually work as long as it's like, as you say, it's warm, it has some meaning, and it's a relevant connection. If you could share like, what's the typical content of your first email? So say you send this kind of email to that kind of CEO. Is it long? Is it short? What do you think makes it work?
It has to be short. It can't be a long email. So it needs to be a short email just to explain why you are sending this email. If they are interested in a speech about this topic, and what I will write then is, for example, to say you have a big link to Formula One. Your company, maybe it's a sponsor of Red Bull in Formula One. Maybe you have a gig, maybe you have a conference. Do you have something? Do you want me to come and talk more about what can you actually learn from the Formula One team?
I really love that approach.
Sometimes that works, and I get a gig.
Yeah, and it's the beautiful about the speaking industry is like you only need a few of those yeses to make it really fun and impactful financially. I think we were driving together to a mountain with other speakers, and that was the smoothest ride. You're a really good driver, Atle. We talked a bit about the balance between, like, very few speakers are actually full-time, and most of us have a full-time job. How do you balance speaking with everything else you got going on, and especially a full-time job? It's a question I often get. Like, do you take a day off? How do you have any advice that's been working for you?
Yeah, that's actually quite difficult because you never know how many gigs you will get.
Exactly.
So it can be quite busy sometimes because I have other jobs. I work as a consultant. I do the Formula One. I do other things, and that is mainly what you call like retainer jobs. I know what I'm doing each month. And then to have time also to do speeches, it's not that easy. If it's suddenly, it could be a month with 8.
Zero.
It could be 0. But in the next month it could be 10.
Yeah.
So that's really difficult. But then you just need to work more those weeks that you have those gigs. That's part of the job. Sometimes I work 24/7. I have always been working and living like this. And other times you don't have as many jobs, but then you need to do sales. But yeah, that's a difficult balance. My goal is to do more speeches, and hopefully one day maybe have that as my most important job, because I feel that's something, it's really fun, and I also feel that it's something I do really good. And also what I'm hearing from the companies that I visit is that it's something they like. So I really want to do more gigs, but it's difficult to know when should I say no to one of my other jobs to use more time on the public speaking. That's a really difficult question to know exactly when is the right time to say, okay, I'm done with this 30% job. Now I will do more time public speaking. I don't have the answer to that, really.
No, it's tough. It's tough because sometimes 2 gigs can equal to a month's salary at another job, and it's just in 2 days. So it's hard to give that up. But at the same time, yeah, it's a difficult one. But thanks for sharing, like, at least how you think about it. And then going into the end, when you create, how many talks do you have now, like your signature talks?
Once more, how many?
How many signature talks, like you would say, you have right now that you deliver? Is it just one that you've been doing the same for the last few years, or do you have several?
No, I have 2 to 3 different that I can deliver. So I always talk to the customer, and so I can tailor-made something for them, but it's from like 2 to 3 speeches that I have.
And when you write the speeches, can you tell a little bit about your creative process? Like, how do you start? You decide to make a speech, like how do you start, and a little bit about the process until it's done and stage ready.
Of course, it's been what you should what can I say, organic process, because I've been developing this over years. But it's to try to understand what will the people who are listening to this, what will they hear, and what should they learn. The worst thing for me is that if people listen to me and they say, okay, that was good, and the next day they have forgotten everything. That's the worst thing for me. For me, it's so important that what I am talking about is something that they can learn something from, and that they are remembering afterwards. So they have to get some bangs for the bucks, to say it in that way. That's really, really, really important. So when I make my speeches, I have that in mind. What should I say? In what way should I say it? What kind of pictures should I use? What kind of videos should I use? So that the people in the audience get as much knowledge and information from this as possible.
Yeah. That's always start with the problem. What are we there to actually solve? Once you figure that out, do you usually start with the slides? Do you start with sitting down and writing the manuscript, or you do like a collage or like whiteboard? Like, how do you get all this shaped?
I do the slides and also the notes. So I have my slides because the slides are like my storyboard. And then I also have notes. But after a while, I don't need those notes, because then I know when I see the next picture on my slide. And on my slides, it's no text, almost never any text. Beautiful pictures or videos. But when I'm then on stage, I see the slide and I don't need the notes anymore, because I know exactly what I'm going to talk about.
Same. And I guess, like, if the tech fails, if the projector goes down, you can still deliver, right?
Yeah,
because
of course.
You know it by heart.
Yeah, and that happens. And that's also a good advice. And I guess you heard the same when we were in Hemsedal, the advice that you can't trust anyone when it comes to the technical side of this, because sometimes it fails, and that's not a good feeling, but it can happen.
Yeah, and then it's you just need to be prepared for the worst all the time.
Yeah. If I can tell you a short story, it happened.
Yeah, of course.
Just a few weeks ago, I came to a gig. As always, I'm there early because I don't want any stress. So I was there like 1 hour before I was going to on stage, and I had sent my presentation to them. I was not using my own computer, and that's okay. The normal thing is to send the presentation. They had a technician on site, and when I came 1 hour before I was going on stage, I asked, can we just check this now? Check that my presentation is okay and that the sound is okay, because sound is really important when I have my presentations, because I have a lot of Formula One clips with a lot of good sound. And they said to me, no, you don't need to do that, because we have a technician,
No.
and we checked this like a couple of hours ago, so everything is okay. And then I did the mistake. I said, okay,
Okay.
I trust you. And that was the mistake, because 1 hour after, I went on stage and there was no sound from the videos.
Yeah.
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 So don't trust anyone.
Don't trust anyone. Always check. Always check. I had the same in Odyssey. They said everything is fine, and then I start to click, and after size 5, it bugs down. The graphic is too heavy for their HDMI thingy, and I'm like, if we didn't check, it's always not trust no one.
Yeah.
Okay, Ate, if you finish up, like, do you have one last advice you would give to someone? Imagine they're up and coming. They just said like, okay, I want to do public speaking. Never been on stage before. Do you have like any advice for those?
Yeah, like in every business, you need to work hard. Nothing comes by itself. It's not enough to have an agent. You have to work hard yourself. You have to be a salesman or a saleswoman. You need to take those calls, to send those emails, and you have to work hard. You have to be really, really well prepared before every gig. It's as easy as that, I think.
Yeah. Atle, this was gold. Thank you so much for sharing so openly. I think a lot of speakers and listeners are going to take real value from this. I'm wishing you more stages, more impact, and like continued success. I can't wait to meet again, hopefully on some new speaker workshop with Tarlisten. Thank you so much for coming. This was really amazing.
Likewise.
Yeah, cool. Hey, thank you so much for joining this episode. It means a lot to me and my team. We put a lot of effort into creating all this content available to help people succeed as public speakers. So if you are a public speaker and you want more gigs, you want higher paid, or you just want to start out as a public speaker, join our community. It's a very cool place from people all across Europe who help each other to succeed as speakers. It's full of free resources, classes on how to master stage fright, to how to build amazing slides in Canva, to how to create an unforgettable quiz on stage. If you're very serious about public speaking, click below to check our 8-week speaker bootcamp. We're starting a new cohort each month. It's a very intensive live program where we gather up to 12 speakers who we work with closely. We help them with creating a website, speaker reel. I work with you one-on-one to create a unforgettable presentation, and we're having a lot of fun in 8 weeks. So check the links below. And hey, if you like this episode, it means a lot to me if you can like it, subscribe, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Cheers.